Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode number 254 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. Always remember for the latest weekly news of the NFL, NBA, MLB, NHL, college sports, WNBA, this is the podcast to beat. So we're going to start off this episode with March Madness as we're at the final game for the men's at least. Now, the final four for the women's, that's yet to be announced as we speak in terms of like the final game. Because for the men's, we have UConn and Michigan. And I think UConn is going to upset Michigan and win it all. UConn has a very dominant team, and they're pretty underrated throughout the entire March Madness bracket. And I think they're going to be too much for Michigan to handle. So I'm going to go with UConn, who I think will win the game, Monday, April 6th. All right. I also want to take this episode or this part of the episode as an appreciation to, in my opinion, the best manager in Chicago White Sox history, Ozzie Guillen. Because earlier this week, on Saturday, April 4th, the Chicago White Sox have announced they will retire Ozzie Guillen's number 13 on August 8th of this year. And in my opinion, Ozzie Guillen 1000% deserves it. Because not only is he one of the few managers to actually bring us the World Series in the entire history of the Chicago White Sox, but if you go among shortstops that has ever played for the Chicago White Sox, Ozzie Guillen, sure, he only hit 24 home runs throughout his tenure, which puts him at 11th all-time among White Sox shortstops. But you got to remember, not everyone is a big home run hitter. There are players who are more of a scrappy ball kind of hitter that can hit you singles, doubles, even triples, and steal some bases. And maybe draw a bit of walks. And that was the player Ozzie Guillen was. And he was an amazing player throughout his entire Major League Baseball career and during his days with the White Sox. And also, Ozzie Guillen was the best manager. He, by the way, and the other reason why I put that is because the White Sox went 11-1 in the 2005 postseason. Ozzie was amazing. Ozzie did the one thing that's so rare for managers to do, and there will never be another manager that will do that, which is go 11-1 and win the World Series. Okay, let me show you a little bit of Ozzie Guillen's batting stance. Second among White Sox shortstops in games played. Walks, he is 10th. Stolen base, Ozzie Guillen is 4th. Now, here's the crazy part. Triples, Ozzie Guillen is 3rd behind Buck Weaver, Luke Appling. Doubles, he's actually 2nd. And 2nd in hits behind Luke Appling. That's amazing. And manager-wise, Ozzie Guillen is 3rd all-time in White Sox history with 678 as we speak. He's only behind Al Lopez with 817. And number 1 is Jimmy Dykes, who won 899 games for the White Sox. But then, if you go to Ozzie Guillen, 678. So that's amazing. And Ozzie Guillen, I remember actually watching it on my TV when it was announced, and I'm honestly so super thrilled to see the best manager in my lifetime to finally get his jersey number retired. And another way for the White Sox to honor him, and this is amazing. Ozzie Guillen, as far as I'm concerned, will go down as the best manager in White Sox history. Now, I'm hoping Will Venable can bring us a World Series, but Ozzie Guillen, I appreciate everything he's done for the South Side, and I appreciate the pregame postgame with Chuck Garfien because they're like a brother duo, and I honestly love the content that they do for the pregame postgame for the Chicago White Sox. So I just wanted to do an appreciation section for Ozzie Guillen. And It's awesome to see the Chicago White Sox retire his number 13. So the Chicago White Sox will have 13 numbers. Ozzie Guillen is going to be the 13th if you include Jackie Robinson. But Chicago White Sox player wise, Ozzie Guillen's now going to be the 12th in the entire history of the franchise to have their number retired by the White Sox, joining Nellie Fox, number 2, Luke Appling, number 4, Minnie Minoso, number 9, Luis Aparicio, number 11, Ted Lyons, number 16, number 19, Billy Pierce, number 3, Harold Baines, number 72, Carlton Fisk, the Baker, Frank Thomas, 35, Paul Konerko, 14, and Mark Burley at number 56. So this is really awesome. And I'm very happy to see the best manager in my lifetime of the Chicago White Sox in Ozzie Guillen to have his jersey number retired. Huge congratulations to Ozzie Guillen. Well deserved. Absolutely love it. Now, let's talk about one Major League Baseball player at the moment, which is Lucas Giolito. Now, why am I mentioning him? Well, as of April 5th, 2026, Lucas Giolito has still yet to sign. And I'm completely mind baffled that he's not signed, that a Major League Baseball team has not offered him a contract. And honestly, why? I think that's one thing we're all still asking. Why has he not been signed? So, Lucas Giolito, who's played with the Washington Nationals, the Chicago White Sox, the Los Angeles Angels, the Cleveland Guardians, and the Boston Red Sox. Now, reports are that Giolito's asking for a lot of money, but teams are being a little bit hesitant on offering him the money he wants. Now, Lucas Giolito did miss 2024 due to Tommy John surgery, and he did play in 2025. Lucas Giolito went 10-4 with a 3.41 ERA. He pitched in 145 innings. Well, he did give up 17 home runs, but he still struck out 121 batters. That's still really solid, if you ask me. And the ERA plus was at 120. And WAR 2.1. That's pretty solid. Then prior to 2025, he did play in 2023 for the Chicago White Sox, Los Angeles Angels, and the Cleveland Guardians. And maybe part of the reason is during that season, Lucas Giolito was a case of two. Because a lot of people forgot that he wasn't that bad on the Chicago White Sox in 2023. Lucas Giolito went 6-6 with a 3.79 ERA while starting 21 games. He did pitch in 121 innings, and he did strike out 131. So not great, but not bad. Now we get to the second part, which was the Los Angeles Angels and the Cleveland Guardians, which, safe to say, yikes. Lucas Giolito with the Los Angeles Angels after being traded to the Chicago White Sox, from the Chicago White Sox to the Angels. Lucas Giolito started 6 games, went 1-5 with a 6.89 ERA. Pitched in 32 innings, gave up 10 home runs, eek, only struck out 34 batters. Now his stint with Cleveland, 1-4, 7.04 ERA, yikes. Gave up 11 runs in 2 innings in his Cleveland debut, mind you. Also started 6 games. Pitched in 30 innings. Yeah. Gave up 1 more home run in 21. If you combine, well, 1 more home run that he did with the Angels, which he gave up 10, now 21, that's 1 more than he gave up with the White Sox, which was only 20. Yikes. And total, 41. Then he only struck out 39. So I think part of the reason why Giolito wasn't signed It's because while he had a solid year in 2025 with the Boston Red Sox, but I believe also part of the reason is his 2023 season with the White Sox, Angels, and Cleveland Guardians, because that was very interesting. And he's proven that he can stay healthy, but how much money is Lucas Giolito commanding? I can only imagine it's probably 150, 200 plus million. At this point, I'm hoping someone still signs Lucas Giolito. 1 year deal, maybe a crazy amount of money just for him to sign for this year. But then let's sign him to maybe a 2, 3 year deal. So let me know your thoughts on Twitter at Billman Sports, Instagram at Billman Sports Guy, and here on YouTube at Billman Sports Guy because Lucas Giolito not signed. That is just crazy to talk about. And we are going to get to basically the final part of this episode, actually, two, because we do have a little bit of breaking news. Ladies and gentlemen, hockey fans all over, I'm happy to say this. For the first time since 2011, the Buffalo Sabres are going to the Stanley Cup playoffs. I repeat, the Buffalo Sabres are going to the playoffs for the first time since 2011. The drought is over. I'm so happy to finally see postseason hockey in Buffalo. Now, the current longest drought in sports still belongs to the New York Jets, who have not made a playoff since 2010. A lot has happened since then. Current NHL drought, Detroit Red Wings with 9. Excuse me, they have not made the playoffs since 2016. Now, for the Major League Baseball, Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. They have not made the playoffs since 2014. Poor Mike Trout. And also poor Mike Trout because in today's game against the Mariners, he got hit in the hand and he is now out. The current longest playoff drought for the NBA, the Charlotte Hornets. Let me know your thoughts on who you think the next team is going to have their drought broken. And for the last thing to talk about today is Connor Griffin. The Pittsburgh Pirates have signed their prospect, Connor Griffin, to a 9 year, $140 million deal. And he's yet to play an MLB game. So he was doing pretty well in the minors and he got called up and now he's signed long term for Pittsburgh. And I hope he has a really good career. I think he will. I think he'll go down as one of the best players to ever play for the Pittsburgh Pirates organization. So this recaps today's episode. Thank you for tuning in to episode number 254 of Bill Man the Sport Guys podcast. I'm your host, Bill Man the Sports Guy. I hope you all have a fantastic Easter, as today is Easter Sunday, but by the time it'll go up, it'll be over. I hope everyone has a good week, and I hope everyone had a very fun weekend. Stay tuned for episode number 255. Peace.